Hello everyone. Today I will be starting a new series where I view mainly low-tier aircraft in War Thunder. Today we will be starting with the P-26, which is a reserve fighter for the American Tech Troop. The project funded by Boeing to produce the Boeing Model 248 began in September 1931, with the US Army Air Corps supplying the engines and the instruments. The open cockpit fixed landing gear externally braced wing design was the last such design procured by the USAAC as a fighter. The Model 248 had a high landing speed, which caused a number of accidents. To remedy this, flaps were fitted to reduce the landing speed. The Army Air Corps ordered 3 prototypes, designated XP-936, which first flew on 20th of March 1932. The Boeing XP-936's headrest offered little protection should it flip onto its back, risking injuring the pilot. As a result, production Model 266's P-26As had a taller headrest installed to provide protection. 2 fighters were completed as P-26Bs with fuel-injected Pratt & Whitney R1340-33 engines. These were followed by 23 P-26Cs with carbureted R1340-33s and modified fuel systems. Both the Spanish Air Force and the Republic of China Air Force ordered examples of the Boeing Model 281, an export version comparable to the P-26C in 1936. The Peashooter, as it was known by service pilots, was faster than previous American combat aircraft. Nonetheless, rapid progress in aviation led to it quickly becoming an anachronism, with wire-braced wings, fixed landing gear, and an open cockpit. The cantilever-wing Dewoitine D-500 flew the same year as the P-26, and 2 years afterwards the Soviet I-16 was flying with retractable landing gear. By 1935, just 3 years after the P-26, the Curtiss P-36, Messerschmitt Bf-109, and Hawker Hurricane were all flying with enclosed cockpits, retractable landing gear, and cantilever wings. However, some P-26s remained in service until after the United States entered World War II in December 1941. The first examples to see combat were Chinese Model 281s. On 15th of August 1937, 8 281s from the Chinese Nationalist Air Force 3rd Pursuit Group, 17th Squadron, based at Tuyong Airfield, engaged 8 of 20 Mitsubishi G3M Nell medium bombers from the Kizarazu Air Group attacking Nanking. 4 of the Chinese fighters shot down 3 of the 14 Japanese bombers destroyed that day without suffering any losses, while Chinese Hawk 2s, Hawk 3s, and Fiat CR-32s claimed the other 11. Subsequent engagements between the Chinese 281 pilots and Japanese Navy Mitsubishi A5Ms were the first aerial dogfights and kills between all-metal monoplane fighter aircraft. Chinese-American volunteer pilots who joined the Chinese Air Force in the mid-1930s include aces John Buffalo Huang and John Wong Penyang, both of whom successfully fought the Japanese in 281. John Wong Penyang scored 2 shared kills over A5Ms on 22nd of September 1937, and a solo kill over an A5M on 12th of October 1937 over Nanking while in his Boeing 281. The Spanish Republican Air Force operated a single Model 281 during the Spanish Civil War of 1936 to 1939, but no kills were made with it before it was shot down in 1936. By December 1941, U.S. fighter strength in the Philippines included 28 P-26s, 12 of which were operational with the 6th Pursuit Squadron of the Philippine Army Air Corps. Captain Jesus A. Villamor and a squadron of P-26s engaged Japanese Mitsubishi A6M0s above Zablan and Batangas fields, and despite being outclassed, Villamor and his squadron claimed 4 kills, 1 Mitsubishi G3M bomber and 3 Zeros, 2 by Villamor himself. For these actions, Villamor was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross and an oak leaf cluster. The P-26s were burnt to prevent their capture by advancing Imperial Japanese Army forces on 24th of December 1941. During 1942 to 1943, the Guatemalan Air Force acquired 7 P-26s, which the United States government delivered to Guatemala as Boeing PT-26A trainers to circumvent restrictions on sales of fighters to Latin American countries. The P-26's last combat operation was with the Guatemalan Air Force during the 1954 coup d'etat. The final pair of P-26s still flying in military service in the world would be replaced with North American P-51 Mustangs 2 years later in 1956. Variants: XP-936, also known as Model 266. Prototypes powered by a 525 horsepower Pratt & Whitney R1340-21 Wasp radial engine. 3 of these were built. P-26A, single-seat fighter aircraft powered by a 600 horsepower R-1240-27, 111 built. P-26B, single-seat fighter powered by a fuel-injected 600 horsepower R-1340-33, 2 were built. P-26C, single-seat fighter with a carbureted R-1240-33 and a modified fuel system. 23 of these were built. Model 281, export version of the P-26C, 11 built for China and 1 for Spain. Now time to review the aircraft in War Thunder. We have 4 versions of the P-26 in War Thunder: the P-26A-33, P-26A-34, P-26A-34M2, and the P-26B-35. All of these aircraft are reserve aircraft, except for the P-26A-34, which is a premium aircraft. They are also all relatively the same, except for the P-26A-34M2, which has different armament. All other P-26s have two 7.62mm Browning machine guns with 1000 ammo, whereas the P-26A-34M2 has a 7.62mm machine gun with 500 ammo, with the addition of a 12.7mm M2 Browning machine gun with 200 ammo. This makes the P-26A-34M2 superior in terms of armament. All P-26s can carry 2 100-pound bombs to bomb vehicles on the ground. I would say take the bombs into battle, as the 2 100-pound bombs barely hinder your maneuverability. The premium P-26A-34 is special because instead of it being a United States P-26, it is a P-26 that served with the Philippines Air Force. I have not bought it myself, but looking at the statistics, I would not recommend getting the Philippines P-26 from the Gaijin market, since there's little to none differences compared to the other free P-26s. The best P-26 to use would be the P-26A-34M2, due to its better speed and better armament. However, the difference in performance statistics are very minor. The P-26 is pretty good at energy fighting. However, other reserve aircraft like the Japanese Ki-10 will turn much faster than the P-26, as well as other reserve aircraft being faster and even out-climbing the P-26. One major flaw is that the P-26 is very weak. I often found myself being shot down very easily. I even got killed many times by the rear gunners on bombers. And keep in mind, I was playing with all modifications unlocked. Landing the P-26 is a challenge. It has a tendency to lurch forward and flip over when you land. Even just tapping the brake will make you fall over. So the best thing to do is try and land at the very beginning of the runway and let it slow down without using the brakes. The cockpit of the P-26 is nice and detailed, and you can faintly hear the noise of the wind rushing by the cockpit, which is a nice touch. From what I've learned playing the P-26, the best way to play the P-26 is to energy fight. Go up high, dive down, dive and go up again. Don't get greedy with kills. If you do, you might get outturned and shot down. My final word for this aircraft is that this plane is 2 100-pound bombs. P-26A-34M2 has a 12.7mm machine gun, and a decent energy fighter and a good ammo count. The bad things about this aircraft is that it's slow, easily outturned, can be outclimbed, and is easily shot down. So my final verdict is that of course you have to use this plane to get started on the USA Aviation Tech Tree, but try not to stick with this aircraft. That's it for today. Thank you for watching my review video.